Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Bad Batch React Show here on The Dope. My name is Catherine, and I am introducing my co-host, my co-pilot, Maui Jones. There he is. Oh, you're shorting out a little bit there.
On location.
There you are. Yep.
I'm on.
Uh-oh.
Looks like my connection is unstable. Can you see
now
me?
I
and hear
can.
me okay?
Yeah, you shorted out there for a second, but we got you back.
Yeah. It's been completely fine until as soon as we start streaming.
Of course, because that's just how the universe works, obviously.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of issues with connection. I'm on location in Iowa, so apologies if I get a little all over this.
A little glitchy.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. We will make do. We will make it work, and it'll be just fine. We are here to talk about Bad Batch episode 11 entitled The Devil's Deal, which is an excellent title for this episode. I mean, those two words really just encapsulate everything that happened here.
Yeah. I really like this episode. I have a feeling that a lot of people won't like this episode because it's not about the Bad Batch. You get one scene with the Batch. But I really like it, especially as a juxtaposition to last week's episode, seeing how the Empire deals with a separatist planet last week versus seeing how they deal with a planet that was actually an ally in the war this week, I thought was very interesting. Plus, it is a Rebels-centric episode, which made me very happy.
It's kind of everything centric. It's Clone Wars, it's Rebels, it's a little there's a teeny little Mandalorian bit in there that I'll get to when I get to my deep cut cat segment of the show.
Deep cut cat segment.
Deep cut cat is back.
Okay.
We haven't had a deep cut in a couple weeks, but we are back today. But yeah, I know the last couple of episodes we've done this react show, we've gone a little bit off, the going plot point by plot point format that we've used to, but I think we're gonna get back at it today because we have a lot of plot to discuss today. Like a lot of plot. It's really fun. Like I was taking notes on my second viewing of this episode and I was like, should I just because sometimes I write down specific quotes if I feel like they're important. And I was like, I might as well just type down the entire transcript of this episode because there are so many great nuggets in this one. Well, I think we'll get right into it. You mentioned correctly that this episode starts out very much like the previous one, where you've got the crowd gathered in front of the important government building as the Empire moves in, and the leader of the planet, in this case Ryloth, is going to make the important speech about oh, don't be afraid of the Empire, we will be prosperous once again. But of course, this time it goes differently than it did the first time. Whereas, when we were on, Catherine, of course, immediately I forget the name of the last week's planet, the Separatist planet. He can't go through with it. Whereas in this case, the senator in question is Orn Free-Taa, who we have known for a long time is slimy. Yeah, not the greatest, pretty greedy, pretty self-interested. And he immediately is like, yeah, Empire, we'll be prosperous once again. It's great.
He's the worst.
He is the worst. Are you okay there, Maui? I don't see you anymore.
Yeah, there you are. I was giving you a solo while you were doing your monologue.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I was like, oh no, did his connection break again? Is that what this means?
No, just giving you a solo.
Oh, thank you. Very cool. Very cool. I was really interested in the way this first scene, especially the first 30 seconds of this episode, were constructed, because we got a lot of information in a very short amount of time with the way that they told this story. You have, again, you got the crowd in front of the big building, and you hear them murmuring, this is not right. What has Ta done? You get, that there's a lot of unrest there. And then you've got the close up on Crosshair saying, Go Big Lee and his fighters are here. So immediately, the Empire's here. There's unrest with the people. There's already a freedom fighting movement, with that one line. I mean, they set the stage so perfectly here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it's also, there's almost zero action as well.
Yeah.
This is very much like, we are seeing
Opa.
we are seeing the kind of like the nuts and bolts of like empire is like taking over planets, and I found that very fascinating to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you only get action like in the last 5 minutes of this episode. I know we've talked about different episodes as we go plot point. It was like, yeah, this one's a lot of action, not a lot to go through here. But this one, it's like complete opposite. It's all plot, all dialogue, pretty much until the convoy at the end. But we'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really interesting. I mean, right off the bat, we've got politics in this episode. We have
a lot of politics. This is a very like intrigue and conversation and double talk, and which I actually really enjoyed. That as a change of pace.
I did too. Yeah, because again, there's been a lot of gunslinging in this episode. In this show. It is called The Bad Batch. It is a Clone Wars spinoff, so like we know kind of what we're getting ourselves into. But as in Clone Wars, we get the deeper topics as well, which I really like.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that we get Admiral Rampart back, and the first thing that he says in this episode is, despite our new refinery bringing countless jobs to your citizens, they seem troubled by our presence. And that kind of like sent a little chill down my spine, because, as in the real world, it's all about the jobs, it's the economy is stupid. And I was like, it really harkens back to the title of this episode, Devil's Deal, where it's like, you're making your deal with evil, deal with the devil in order to, live your life and live in peace in big air quotes here, because, they're occupied, but, there's not an active war going on anymore.
Yeah.
What did you think about the politics of this?
Well, I found it interesting. So as far as I can tell, by the time we get to original trilogy, Twi'leks are just basically slaves, right?
Kind of. I mean, we don't see them.
Like, we don't see a lot of them, but usually when we do, we see them being enslaved. Well,
yeah, and it's even before the Empire age, but the original trilogy. I mean, even in episode 1, we see that Sebulba has like 2 Twi'lek women like massaging him and stuff. Like, I don't know if they're enslaved. I don't know if he's employed them, but like they're definitely like lower, like working class people, if not like totally enslaved. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm curious to know, like, I don't know. Once the relationship with them and the Empire broke down, did that lead to a loss of freedom for their culture?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, and also, like, this isn't over, right? And
right.
This is clearly dovetailing into a second half.
Well, also, I mean, and we kind of see the end of that in Rebels, because we do go back to Ryloth at some point. I don't remember what season it is. Yeah.
Season 2?
I don't remember. No, I think it's later than that.
Is it later than that?
Season 3, I think so. Yeah. I mean, listen, I am not the world's biggest Rebels fan. I don't hate it, but I don't love it nearly as much as I love Clone Wars, so I don't rewatch it as much as I do some of these Clone Wars arcs. So I might be a little fuzzy on the Rebels details.
Yeah. I'm relocating.
Okay.
Also, this place where I'm staying has all the candy everywhere.
Ah, jealous. I want candy.
There's just candy in every nook and cranny. So I'm relocating a little bit.
Okay. We're going on a tour here. We're going on a mission.
Yes, but keep going.
Okay, cool. So after a little bit of, behind the scenes talking, Senator Orn Frita addresses the crowd and says that the Twi'leks, I've heard Twi'leks and Twi'leks in conversation. In this episode, they use
Twi'leks.
Yeah, in this episode they use Twi'leks. So I was like,
yeah,
I don't know. I've heard it both ways in actual Star Wars media, not just like, people like fans talking. So I might switch it off back and forth in this episode. So apologies in advance. Yeah. But also, Senator Orfrey,
this is like, just so people know, like, this is a pure romance setup right here.
Oh no!
So my friend runs a pure romance business, so you'll see some product in the background.
Oh, geez. We're getting spicy already. All right.
Yes.
So Senator Orn Frita addresses the crowd and said that the Twi'leks are to step down from their military posts and give up their weapons, basically, which obviously does not go down very well with the crowd. Again, like, we're going from it's the economy, stupid, to like, hey, it's the guns. We're like going from one hot button topic to another, I feel like.
Yeah. This is really focusing on the transition, which is something we said from like the first episode. Like, it really feels like we're getting into like the nuts and bolts of how the Empire, like seeing what the transition is like coming out of the Clone Wars into the age of the Empire.
Yeah, and it's cool to see it differ from planet to planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting to see. We saw like. We got like chain codes. We got to see like what like the
early, like episode codes. 2. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to see the transition into like a universal currency with imperial credits. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all so fascinating.
Yeah, and it's cool to see like how the different populaces react.
Mm-hmm.
Because like in this case, and we're about to get to this plot point. You have Cham Syndulla address the crowd after Orn Frita and say like, hey, the clones fought alongside us during the war. Like, we should, trust them because they fought for us. They died for us. And, we should be okay with this for now. And they go along with it. Like, after Cham said it's cool, everyone's like, okay, we're going to follow this guy because we trust him.
Right. I had a question about that. So what was the clone in that scene?
Hauser.
Yeah. He did not seem to be Order 66 like
I was just going to mention that. I thought see here's where my mind went here. I thought his plea to comply with the clones, Cham's plea to comply with the clones, was kind of sad because in my mind I'm like, these clones have been Order 66. They are not your friends anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, you may think you have this rapport with them because, you fought together for so long during the Clone Wars, but things are different now. And they have been, for all intents and purposes, brainwashed. But, I mean, and we'll get to this, but I don't know necessarily if Hauser is entirely 66th, if you know what I mean. Because, okay, we'll get there. It's later in this episode. I don't want to step on it, but to be continued. But
even within this scene, it seemed like he had a sense of agency that I don't see from clones post Order 66.
Totally. And he didn't all his actions were still like in compliance with what Admiral Rampart wanted and Senator Ta wanted. But he still like had a personality. Like, he wasn't as robotic as Crosshair, for example. Now, Crosshair is not the warmest, fuzziest person in the world to begin with, but it seemed like he was almost like mechanical once his chip went off. Whereas Hauser's not like that at all.
Right. Same thing with Wrecker.
Yeah.
When Wrecker's chip went off, he became a robot.
You're right. I mean, he was still like gruff because that's just how his voice is. But yeah, he lost all that warmth, all that familiarity, all that humor, everything. He just became like, good soldiers follow orders, which freaked me the hell out. But yeah, I just think that's so sad. And later on in the episode, when stuff starts to go down and there's action, you see that Cham uses stun on the clones because he still, even though right now they're his adversaries, I think he still respects them. He doesn't shoot them dead, which I was like, oh, that's so sad. His
wife like, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Both of them were using stun the entire time.
Yeah, it's so sad. I don't know. They've gone and there are people that have already gone through so much. Yeah. I really wanted to go back before this stream and rewatch as much of the Ryloth arcs of Clone Wars and Rebels as much as I could. I didn't even get through the Clone Wars one, but like even then, the Ryloth arc in Clone Wars is still season 1, when most people are like, oh, Clone Wars is kind of figuring itself out. I think that's the first really solid arc that we got in Clone Wars. I mean, they go places with that arc. The Separatist army is using the Ryloth villagers as human shields and hostages. Like, you can tell they've been starved out. The village is completely deserted. And when one of the clones are like, are they all dead? Because they don't see any people around. They're like, no, there would be bodies. And I was like, this is still when Clone Wars is supposed to be like a kid's show. Back when they didn't really know like where to take the series. And I was like, oh, so this is like our first turning point where they're like, oh no, we're going to make this a war show. This is not a kid's show. This is a Star Wars war show that happens to be animated.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like, man, Ryloth.
Yeah.
It's tough. So this scene ends after Cham Syndulla convinces the people of Ryloth to go along with this. And then we get Hera spying on the Dunium refinery with Chopper at the behest of Uncle Gobi. Okay, so the minute I saw that little, spy thingy that Chopper's got on the top of his head, he like peeks over the ridge with it, I was like, no! And then, of course, you see Hera and Chopper. That was a great reveal that I really appreciate. And it's really funny because, like, okay, again, I already mentioned that I'm not the greatest Rebels fan. I don't hate it. It's fine, like, whatever. I found Chopper to be actually pretty insufferable. I thought him to be really annoying. I know that I'm in the minority here, but I'm not a huge Chopper fan. But when I saw him, I got really excited.
I love Chopper.
Yeah,
Chopper is hilarious and like doesn't like, you can tell like he's got a couple screws loose,
A couple? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He's kind of chaotic and love everything about him. And like I love that I didn't realize that he's been Hera's since she was a little girl.
Yeah, that was a cool reveal.
That made me happy and it made me just appreciate him even more.
Yeah, there's a lot that we got here in terms of backstory for these characters. One thing that I noticed right off the bat when Chopper and Hera were introduced into this episode is that Hera has that kind of French-inspired accent, same as everybody else, whereas by Rebels, she's completely lost it. And I think that's really interesting because in Rebels, and again, I did not get the chance to go back and rewatch some of these episodes, but I do remember that by the time Rebels happens, there's a big disconnect between Hera and Cham, because Cham by that point is so obsessed with, liberating Ryloth pretty much at the expense of everything else, including like his humanity and his morality. And I think that change of accent is a really interesting way of showing like that change in perspective.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if by the end of this arc that this is where we see Hera lose her family.
Yeah, maybe
go into rebel mode.
Right.
It feels like we're seeing like the origin story of General Syndulla.
Yeah. We're seeing like her like radicalization moment.
Yeah. So like and she's still fairly young here. So like, the fact that she's lost her accent by the time we see her in Rebels tells me that she's probably not on this planet for much longer.
Yeah. Yeah. And she has to learn. I mean, like, I know that she already kind of knows the basics of piloting from Uncle Gobi. But by the time we see her in Rebels, she is a damn expert. Like, she knows her stuff. So she's got to refine that and learn that from somewhere, which really makes me wonder, among other things, where this is going. And if I can get off track for just a second, I really want to talk about where this is going, because this episode really changed my expectations for where this series is headed. I mean, we're on episode 11 of 16, and my expectations for where this is going have completely changed. Because if you had asked me before watching this episode, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get a Boba Fett moment." I thought it was really going to be more Bad Batch, like just that group specific in terms of cloning and the Kaminoans and Boba Fett and Lama Su, like where that plot was headed. Now I'm like, we're gonna get the whole galaxy. Again, they've been talking about, we've been talking about earlier about the Empire slowly taking over, and we're kind of seeing those steps. I think we're gonna get the whole picture here, and not just focus in on the micro level of just the Bad Batch and like what's going on with them, what's going on with Omega.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I think that what we're seeing is this whole season is just putting pieces into place.
Yeah, totally.
For what the Batch will be going forward, and it seems like it will be more Rebel centric.
Yeah.
More like early formation of like the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
It also tells me that this is not just like a one season miniseries.
No, not even close. They've opened Pandora's box with this episode.
Yeah.
You can't put it back. Like this is bigger than the next 5 episodes.
Yes.
Like we're not gonna tie up the Empire, this creation of the start of the Rebel Alliance, the plot with Lama Su. We're not gonna wrap Crosshair. We're not gonna wrap that up in the next 5 episodes. No. There's no way.
No. I mean, yeah. To me, it seemed like this was saying like I was expecting to see us like move into like the end game of like Crosshair in this episode. With the few amount of episodes we have left, right? Like start to see the seeds of that, and no, instead we are setting the stage for some larger, encounter, or some larger like mini conflict within Ryloth.
Yeah,
and getting Hera out of there, because right now things look pretty dire for her, right?
Yeah.
And seeing, to jump ahead a little bit real quick, seeing her scene with Omega and with the Batch, tells me that they're probably going to be the ones that have to go in and pull her out.
Yeah, maybe, definitely,
right?
Maybe.
Like maybe like Gobi or Cham get word to Sid that they need Hera extracted from the planet because they don't want her to get thrown in jail or be enslaved or whatever.
Or maybe Hera, somehow gets the word out to them because, she already had this connection with Omega. Maybe she somehow gets the word out that like her family needs help because at the end of the episode, her family's been captured and she's free because Chopper got her out of there. I didn't, and it's really funny because of that Pandora's box element of this just blew the whole season wide open in terms of the general conflict. I didn't mind so much that we didn't get our Bad Batch comes in to save the day moment because
I didn't miss them at all.
Yeah, we kind of sacrificed those moments with them in order to get this big galaxy-wide conflict idea, which I really, really liked.
Same.
Yeah. I have a prediction before we move on and keep going with the episode. I have a prediction that before this season is out, we are going to get a Darth Vader scene. It almost seems inevitable, especially because if you recall in the first arc of season 7 for Clone Wars, and we get the introduction of the Bad Batch and they go rescue Echo, it's Anakin that's with them. I almost feel like they're going to make that connection. I mean, I don't necessarily think that, they'll be like, oh, it's Anakin in that Vader suit. But like, I feel like there's something there, man. Like,
if they do that, I don't know. I don't know if they will though, because like if they do that, if they get like Vader in his prime, like they're all dead. Like I just don't see them getting through that encounter.
Sure, but I feel like
maybe we see him, but maybe they don't see him. I don't know.
Maybe. I feel like this situation is going to escalate. Admiral Rampart's not going to be able to handle it by himself. It's like, no, we gotta get the big guy in. Like this is not. They are not going to go down quietly. I'm sorry if you can hear. I've got the garbage truck outside. I don't know if you can hear that.
A little bit, but you're fine. I can hear you fine.
Okay, good. Yeah, I got my window open. because it's nice outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I went from we're definitely going to get a Boba Fett moment to we're definitely going to get a Darth Vader moment in one episode.
Yeah, I could see that. Like I said, I think if we did get a Darth Vader moment, it would be more just a cameo talking to something, like go after them.
Yeah. I think
do the thing. You know?
Yeah, I think if he is there, he'll be used sparingly. I don't think Darth Vader is a card you can unpull. You know,
right.
Just put him in there, and just like you don't want to overuse Darth Vader.
Right.
Just like you don't want to overuse, like we were talking about a couple episodes ago, you don't want to overuse your Luke Skywalker, like we were talking about in Mandalorian. Yeah, There are certain characters that you don't touch very much. Hey, that rhymed. All right, so where are we? Oh, so the clones discover Hera spying on the refinery, and they bring her back. I had a moment there that I was like, oh, they're screwed. Chopper's there. Chopper's gonna get him. our little murder bucket is gonna get him.
Chopper seemed much more lucid and like not crazy.
Yes.
In this episode,
yeah, you're right.
I think it's before he's been all beat up and.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but you're absolutely right. He did seem a bit more normal, a little less unhinged.
Yeah.
We get a quick scene between Gobi and Cham here. After that, Gobi does not agree with the disarming of Ryloth. Surprise, surprise. I mean, he is, Cham's lieutenant and a freedom fighter. I mean, he's well known enough that at the beginning of the episode, Crosshair's like, Gobi and his fighters are here. So they know that he's still active militarily.
Yeah.
And he has his contact, which we find out later is Sid, acquire more weapons. And then we get a bunch of like really quick scenes back to back to back. The clones bring Hera back, and when Hera's walking away with her mom, even though Hera had just been like reprimanded for being in a restricted space and like, making her father look bad and stuff, Hera's mom is like, tell me what you saw, leave nothing out. And I was like, good job, Mom. You're pretty badass yourself.
I think she feels uneasy about the alliance too.
Yeah. And it's interesting because she, I feel like, is very much caught in between her loyalty to Ryloth and her responsibility to her family, because as we know, Cham Syndulla has a lot of pull over the Ryloth people. And I think she kind of disagrees with him on just letting the Empire like do their thing because he trusts the clones. She does not. I mean, they have a conversation when they're at the refinery where she voices her distaste for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything seems super suspect. Like the Rampart is like being super shady through the entire thing.
Yeah. So she's definitely caught in between like her duty to her family and to her husband and not like making him look bad. But at the same time, she does not agree with what he has to say. Yeah. Where was I? I think if I can say this for a moment, I think there's that scene between Hera and Cham where, he's explaining to her like what he thinks, and Hera's like, I can fight as much as anyone, and he's like, no, I want something more for you. I want, to have a better life than I've had. I don't want you to fight. I think that was a really touching, sad, poignant moment of generational trauma, because we know how Hera's life ends up. She does go into the fight, and she does kind of like follow her father's legacy, maybe in a different way than he would have imagined, because again, he becomes like so gung-ho about freeing his people in Rebels to the expense of everything else, but she still goes into the struggle with him.
Yeah. I would agree with that, but also like, had she listened to him, had she stayed out of it, right? Like the Rebel Alliance may have never gotten to where they were, right? Because like
totally.
we see like how instrumental her and her crew are in the formation of the Rebel Alliance, right? And
totally.
So you know, he was afraid of like her being hurt, but she really didn't need to like carve her own path. Right. And do the thing and stand up for her people and stand up and fight for her freedom. So yeah, I definitely see that. And it's sad in a way because she does end up, being relegated to a life of struggle, but it's in service of of something bigger than herself. It's in service of community.
Yeah.
So, I think I didn't even think about that. That's a great catch.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not trying to put like a qualifier in. I'm not trying to call it like good or bad about her life choices, but I thought that was a very real moment in this very plot heavy episode.
Mm-hmm.
So Hera joins Uncle Gobi on the supply run, heavy quotations around that. Interesting the way that he put it, because he promises to let her fly, and we kind of get our first moments of like Hera piloting a ship, which is of course incredibly formative for her, at least that we've seen. But of course, Crosshair tags the ship and knows where they're going, or finds out where they're going. And it looked to me like they were going to like a nearby moon as like the rendezvous point. And we get,
I think it was like a orbiting moon. Yeah, something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. And we finally get our Bad Batch is here, moment. We finally get to see them at least briefly.
Yeah, we get a cameo.
It really was cameo-like, wasn't it? But I think it did fall in line with a lot of things that we've seen with them so far. Like near the end of this encounter, when Omega's like he is repeating what Hera said about flying, that it's a feeling, and Tech goes, "What feeling?"
What feeling? Yeah.
I literally wrote down in my notes in quotes, "What feeling?" and then I say, "Oh, Tech."
Yeah.
Oh,
I love
you.
That. Yeah.
I love him. Yeah,
me too.
I am like you. I am warming up to Tech as this series is going on. Yeah, just a little misunderstood little guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I love
like the fact that she's not allowed to fly until she memorizes the ship's like specification manual.
Yeah. I think that might be, you know how some people like they have to do the thing themselves because they know that they can be trusted. Like they're very particular about how certain things are. I think Tech is kind of using that as an excuse to not let Omega take the controls because he wants to be like in control of this one thing. I can totally see that. I kind of wish I was a fly on the wall of that conversation. I also love how when Hera wants to get a tour of the ship, Omega is like kind of acting like a little baby sheriff. Yeah, she's like, but I'm warning you, like no funny business.
Yeah, she's like, can I come look in the ship? And she's like, can she come in the ship, Hunter?
Yeah. Dad, can I play with my friend?
Yeah. She's like, all right, you can come in, but I'm watching you. Like she's so cute.
It was so cute.
Yeah, I'm the sheriff. I'm the sheriff around these parts. Like, come on, kid, I'll show you the ropes. Like, it's super cute.
Yeah, and again, we had a really nice, poignant moment, I think, between Omega and Hera when Omega was showing Hera her room, because she's like, oh yeah, it's really a gunner's turret, but if we're not getting shot at, it's my room. And Hera's asked, who's chasing you? Are you in some kind of trouble? And Omega said, I thought we're here to help you. I thought you were the ones that were in trouble. And it's like this little moment between these two, frankly, little girls that are caught up in this greater conflict. And they don't even realize that they're being hunted by the same entity.
Yeah.
They get so close to the point with that little exchange, but it's never really resolved. And I don't think it would be that big of a deal if it was resolved, but like I had a little moment of like, oh, they don't even know like how big this is and how screwed they are.
I need them to become best friends.
I would love that.
I need them to be besties. I need them to be like, I just recently watched Anne of Green Gables, and her and her best friend are like so obsessed with each other. And it's the cutest thing on the planet. And I kind of need them to have that relationship where like they're just inseparable and like super extra and emotionally over dramatic.
Yeah.
Like I just need that from them.
And maybe if we'll get that extraction mission where, you know, Hera or somebody gets in contact with the Bad Batch to like help things out around, maybe we will get that and that relationship will develop. Mm-hmm. We don't know at this point, obviously.
But yeah, I want Hera to kind of join the crew.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And maybe like, and maybe Tech is the one that teaches her how to fly because she's able to memorize those specifications. Right. I hadn't thought about that.
I need that.
Oh my God! Wait, that would be so good.
Mm-hmm. So like they both want to the manual, and they learn together, and Tech teaches them how to fly, and that's why Hera's such a damn good flyer.
Yes. Oh my God, I feel like there's so many possibilities, and there's so many places that this could go in the next 5 episodes. I'm almost like, it can't possibly do everything. They're gonna have to choose a route here, and so you know, one of these plot points, whether it's you know, the Kaminoans or Boba or Cad Bane or the Empire, something has to fall by the wayside here and be picked up in season 2, assuming that there's a season 2, which I'm guessing there is. So I'm very curious to see where this goes. I'm sure we all are. By the way, and this is apropos of absolutely nothing, but this is next on my notes, so I'm going to talk about it next. This is the first episode, and I'm sorry to say this because I am a music person. This is the first episode I really noticed the soundtrack in this episode. There was, and the reason why I say that is because they gave Hera a leitmotif. And I noticed it because it starts with the same couple notes. I didn't count them. It starts with the same batch of notes as Leia's theme.
Leia's theme. Yep, I thought
the exact same
thing.
Yes.
When she lays down on
the
sand and looks up in the sky, you hear it, and it's so beautiful. And you see her like, you know, it's obvious, you know, she's dreaming about, you know, being a pilot, you know, a space pilot. And you hear that, and it's just like, I got really.
I was excited. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it comes back a couple times. It came back again when they're on that moon, and you know, Hera's with Omega.
When she's talking about the feeling of flying.
Yeah.
You have to feel it, and you hear it again there.
Dude, and that was so cool.
The music was fantastic in this episode.
Yeah. My ear is definitely perked up.
Yeah.
And I love that they gave Hera her own leitmotif. That's really great. But on the way back to Ryloth, Crosshair shoots the ship down and informs Admiral Rampart once they approach the wreck that Hera and Gobi and company were smuggling weapons. And Senator Ta says that Cham is behind this and Hera is the proof. And that's where we get Hauser's, "Sir, she's only a child." And I was like,
that was significant.
Absolutely significant, and he definitely has like a physical moment of hesitation before he complies. And I wrote in all caps in my notes, "Are the chips malfunctioning?" He definitely hesitates. Like, there's something going on here, and again, that's another route that we can go down in the next 5 episodes. You know, are the chips malfunctioning? Is this just Hauser, or is it on kind of a grand scale here? And does that mean anything for Crosshair's story as well? There's more to this, man. I'm going down the rabbit hole here.
Yeah. It's a good show. They're setting up a lot of stuff, and they're taking their time, which I appreciate. You know, I do wish that the season was a little longer. Like, I wish this was just like a full length, like traditional season of animation. If we that we could get like 26 episodes, you know, and maybe like see some more completed arcs in this, because I feel like I'm not going to get a lot of resolution. I think there's going to be a lot of things that are still hanging for season 2.
Yeah, totally.
And or at the very least, if I can get just more like character beats, that would be nice. So, but and maybe we still have 5 episodes left. I think we still have some time for some interesting development. So
for sure. And maybe this was Disney's way of kind of feeling it out. Yeah, it's a lot of commitment to do a full season of 26 or whatever episodes. So maybe we're kind of getting this sort of abbreviated season 1. Maybe we'll get more season 2 once they realize that the fans are loving it. Because I really feel like the fan reaction to this has been good. I feel like people really enjoy people who watch it. Because I know a lot of Star Wars fans who be like, "Oh yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet," or "I haven't watched it." But the people who do watch it, I feel like really, really enjoy it.
Yeah. What do you think, Chewie?
Is that Wookiee for I like it?
Yes.
Good.
it just this is down in this basement and it's the softest thing ever. So.
Aw, it's really cute. I really like it.
I kind of want to buy one.
I don't blame you.
It's called a squashmallow. A squashmallow. Like
yeah,
like
squishmallow. Yeah.
Squishmallow.
Squishmallow. Yeah, I've heard of those.
Yeah, I kind of want one.
Do it. Some people collect them.
Yeah, I feel like that, and I felt like they hung on Hauser. Hauser?
Yeah,
right?
Hauser.
They hung on Hauser for a second there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like they were like, no, like this is like I felt like they were pointing like this is important that he's like questioning.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it too much, but like I feel like that's a significant moment in the story that we will see pay dividends later.
Oh, totally. Because the whole catchphrase, for lack of a better word, of the inhibitor chip is good soldiers follow orders. And that is a moment where he hesitates and he doesn't immediately comply.
Yep.
Yeah. So Gobi's fighters were seeing all this, and Crosshair asked Rampart if he should shoot him down. And Rampart says no, let them report back. And so they do indeed report back to inform Hera's family of what went down and Hera and Gobi's capture. And then Chopper comes in and tells them that Hera is guilty of treason, no trial, no due process necessary, because it's the Empire now, I guess. And then we see the convoy transporting the prisoners, I'm assuming back to the capital. And I wanted to point out, here's my deep cut Cat moment. And it's really like not that big of a deal, but I nerded out a little bit over it. The prisoner transport that we see them taking Hera and Gobi is the same model of prisoner transport. Don't ask me what it is. I did not look it up. It's the same prisoner transport model as we see in Rogue One.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
The hanging things, right?
With the little stalls, and they got the wrist shackles that are also shackled to the floor. I was like, oh, that looks so familiar. I know what that is. And then we also get our mini, tiny Mandalorian moment, because the Ryloth freedom fighters are riding blurgs.
They were riding blurgs. I did catch that.
That was so cool.
Yeah. There was all the blurgs. I started thinking of Queel, and I got really sad.
Yeah, Queel. R.I.P. He was such a good. I love Queel. I wish we had longer with him, because he's such a great character.
We need to do our Star Wars tier list video.
We do. We really do.
We do
that would be like a 6-hour live stream. We're gonna get into it.
I would love to do an extended live stream, and we can get a few other people, and we can just go through we can get a big like our top 50 Star Wars characters, and then do tier list.
I would love that. So Cham and his fighters intercept the convoy, and we get another moment of Hauser hesitating, because Senator Ta says attack, and Hauser hesitates again. Again, he gets his own close up where he doesn't do it right away. And Chopper gets Hera away from all the action. Admiral Rampart surrenders, and Cham almost shoots Senator Ta for all that he's done against the Ryloth people, but his wife stops him. But it is all for naught, because Crosshair shoots Senator Ta, and Cham is framed. Reinforcements arrived and arrest Cham's family while Hera gets away. And we are left
to know what
on a
Hauser
massive
thought
cliffhanger.
about all that. Because he takes off his helmet, and I can't really read his face. He seems to be playing it rather stoic.
Right.
But I couldn't tell if he was affected by that, because it was a super dirty thing that Rampart did, right? Did Hauser was Hauser upset with that, or did the chip kick in? He's just like, yeah, good soldiers follow orders. I don't know.
Here's where the medium of animation is really an asset to this show. In animation, nothing exists until someone creates it. nothing is incidental because it's all someone had to draw it and make it move, and there was intent behind that. It wasn't just like some actor playing Hauser stand aside, like maybe making his or her or their own choice to make that kind of facial expression. No, they put that in there on purpose. And so I feel like we almost have to, whether it's in the next episode or down the line, if they let this cliffhanger hang, we have to get some sort of resolution there because they did that on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Yeah. And I think that at some point I had a moment when this whole convoy thing went down and we finally got some action here. I almost felt like there was gonna be a moment where the Bad Batch came back for some reason to kind of save the day.
I kept waiting for them to swoop in, but it's like, it makes no sense that they would know. We didn't get to see any, like, them putting, like, a tracking beacon or, like, an establishing scene where
or something.
Tech is like, you know, like, I was, like, expecting after they left for Tech to be like, you know, they had a tracking beacon on their ship. I picked up its frequency or something.
Right. Yeah, but I was waiting for it, but nobody's coming. At least not for now. So,
because like I thought, the way I thought they could have done it is that like Tech could have noticed, you know, picked up the frequency of the tracking beacon, and it was significant to him because he's like, it's Crosshair's tracking frequency.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, maybe we'll get that at the top of next episode. I don't know. This is such a cliffhanger. There's so much going on here.
Yeah. Also, we haven't seen Crosshair's face at all. We
did briefly in this episode. Yeah, we did when Admiral Rampart and Senator Ta are talking about Cham, and Crosshair is like, Gobi's the real threat here, or whatever he says. He doesn't have his helmet on that one. But that's like the one time. We only see it once.
Was he scarred?
Yeah, he had his little thingamabob.
Okay, I have to rewatch it. I must have missed that.
That's okay.
I was watching it on my phone since I've been out of town. I've been watching everything on my phone. So.
It's really okay. It's very brief, so okay. I don't blame that you miss it. It's really quick, and it's in a quick scene too. Like it's a quick shot and a quick scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of avenues opened in just this episode. A lot of questions left to be answered. Maui Jones, how would you rate this episode?
Actually, before we rate, I'd love to ask, I'd love us both to do a little exercise here of like 3 things that we want to see in the next 5 episodes. So 3 things that we're hoping to see before the finale.
Okay. I do want Crosshair to turn back in some way. I feel like I really want this to end on like a hopeful moment for him. I don't know. I feel like, again, like the group is not complete. We got to see them in one episode and they kind of broke out of that Kaminoan holding cell together and it was great. And I'm sad. So I do want Crosshair to come back in some way. I do think a Darth Vader moment would be very powerful and wouldn't be just like a shoehorn thing. I think they can really make it make sense. And number 3, I want to find out more about Omega because I don't think that's completely answered. You know, we talked about how she's not really a complete copy of Jango Fett. She is female. They literally have like different organs and stuff. Like, no, there's something more there. I think there's something there's something more to it, and I want to know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
I'd like to see Omega meet Alpha, right? I need to see a Omega and Boba meeting. Mm-hmm. And perhaps through that some sort of resolution to the Kaminoan like plot thread. You know, I'd like to see like Boba kind of end that, you know, like I'd love to see Boba kill Lama Su.
Ooh, okay.
Like that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see like Boba like take down the Kaminoan like cloning.
That'd be kind of a cool, like, Frankenstein's monster moment. Like, the creation takes down the creator. Ooh. I like that. And it's not like I don't want to see that. But I feel like if there is a season 2, I'm hoping there is a season 2, that is a thing that could kind of churn a little while longer.
Could be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we could lead up to that a bit more.
2. I would also like to see some sort of resolution to the Crosshair storyline, but I think my preferred one, he gets free from control.
Wait, hang on. You glitched out.
He becomes.
Wait, you glitched out for a second. Can you repeat yourself, please?
Yeah. So he gets freed from control, right? They get his inhibitor chip turned off, but he doesn't join the batch again. He becomes a lone wolf, a rogue agent.
Ooh, interesting.
Maybe he's like, look, I'm freed, but I actually kind of don't want to do what y'all are doing. I don't know that I want to be with the Empire either. I think I just need to like go off on my I'd like to see him like maybe create his own path. I think could be interesting. And then, like I said, I would like to see Hera become a more of a regular player on the show, because I really, 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 really like young Hera.
I do too.
She was my favorite part of this episode. I felt like she needed to be even more of a focus of this episode. Like, I wanted to be like 100% completely in her POV.
Yeah.
And it made me sad that we only got a few scenes of that. Most of the rest of them was like, dealing with like Cham and his like, inner turmoil about what's going on in his planet. Yeah. I really wanted to watch all of that unfold from Hera's perspective.
I do think some context was necessary, though. I mean, maybe they could have still done it from Hera's perspective, but I do think that we needed that.
No, I think what they did was the right choice. But for me, because I just really liked her so much, like I really wanted this more of her perspective, right?
Totally,
like,
totally, yeah. Cool.
So, those are my 3. So, we can rate whenever you're ready.
All right. I'll go first since you added that lovely exercise. I actually really enjoyed that. It made me think. I would put this at a 4.5 out of 5. And the reason why I don't go the full 5 here is because
4.5 or
4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
And the reason why I don't go full 5 here is because there wasn't really any point that I had like a full like emotional moment. Yes, I got very excited when Hera and Chappa showed up. Yes, there were those sad moments between Hera and Cham and Cham and the clones and Hera and Omega. But I didn't like. I
need to real quickly point out that when you said Chopper, you said Chappa. Like,
did I really? Did I really?
Turning into Omega.
I did not mean to do that. That was not on purpose. But anyway. So yeah, even though like I definitely felt some things in those moments, I didn't have like the full on like freak out or cry or anything like that. Like there was no big reveal that made me be like, so, but I do want to rate it highly because again, like we said, this was the Pandora's box moment. This tore the whole series wide open and it can go in so many different avenues from here on in. So I'm very excited to see what's next.
I love that. I would say, I think I would also give this a 4.5. I think this was a highlight episode. I think this was really good. There is no like, oh my God moment to like some of the ongoing stuff, but it's such a strongly written story.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't watched any other people's reviews yet. I try and wait until after we do ours. But like I feel like a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh yeah, this was good, I guess," but it didn't, have anything to do with like the main storyline. And I think it has more to do with the main storyline than what we realize.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be quite a pivotal episode. and kind of a glimpse into like, we know what Bad Batch has been prior. Now we're seeing where it's going. I feel like this is the first thing to saying like, no, we're going to open this up. It's going to be a lot bigger than what you think.
Yeah.
This really did change my perspective on what the series was trying to do
completely.
And now I'm not quite sure what it's trying to do. So that's exciting to me.
Yep, that is the best part about it, is that it's funny because I think a lot of people, especially like when Clone Wars became a thing, they're like, we know how it ends. Like what is there to say? Because we know where it ends up. We know that Anakin's going to turn to the dark side. We know that the Republic is going to be the Empire, et cetera, et cetera. And we do kind of have a little bit of that here because, like, especially in Hera's case, we know that Hera is going to, have the ghost and help form the rebellion and all that stuff. But there's still so many gaps in between. And especially because we have these new characters in the Bad Batch. So lots to discover. Lots to find out next time. Oh.
Yes, I'm very excited. Yeah, I can't wait to see the next month how this finishes.
I know, I'm going to be so sad like when this is all over, we have to wait, fingers crossed, for season 2, because this has been, I mean, like every Friday I wake up, I'm like, oh, it's Bad Batch Day. I get to, to get to wake up one day and have new Star Wars waiting for you, new Star Wars content every week is to me such a joy. I look forward to it every time. And I put my phone down, no distractions. Like I watch, and I'm like a little kid, like watching Saturday morning cartoons. It's really a pleasure.
I love that. Yeah, same. Wednesdays is going to be like all Marvel content now. Or maybe like it might be all content is going to be dropping on Wednesdays. And I kind of hope that they don't do that. I kind of hope that they have more of a staggered like release schedule throughout the week. Like I want like Wednesdays, since Wednesdays is New Comic Book Day anyway, like have the Marvel series all like come out on Wednesdays, and then like have Fridays be like Star Wars Day, right? So like, have Thursdays be Pixar. I want to like say like be able to go on and be like, okay, I know on this day I'm getting this content and it's marketed, so it gives me more reasons to come back every day to Disney
Absolutely.
Plus, which I'm enjoying more and more as they're getting more and more content going. Like
And it's funny.
I'm watching all their things. I'm watching I watched Big Shot.
Oh, my husband loves Big Shot. Kevin is obsessed.
It was so delightful. I watched
really cute.
Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Again, Kevin's watching that too. Yep.
I'm going to start watching the Mysterious Benedict Society. See what that's about. I'm like enjoying all of their original programming. I think it's very fun. So I really wish that I hope that they stagger it out so I have a reason to come back every day and watch Disney Plus.
Yeah, and I've seen some more casual Star Wars fans look at all the big releases that are coming out in the next freaking decade, and they're like, oh, that's too much. Like I feel like that's just a money grab and all that stuff. And I'm over here like, okay, but other than the sequel trilogy, the stuff that they've been putting out on Disney Plus and all the other ancillary stuff, Rogue One, Solo, Mandalorian, Bad Batch, season 7 of Clone Wars, have been so good that I'm like, why don't you want more of this? I could go on with like this forever because their stuff they're putting out, again, with the exception of the sequel trilogy, is quality stuff that I look forward to. Like, and again, there are so many, even within this one show, there are so many things that they could do with it. And there are so many other stories to be told that keeps this galaxy growing and growing. Like, why would, it does not compute to me. Why would you not want more of this? I'm having a blast.
Yeah. Agreed. Last thing I wanted to do before we leave, you have not watched the Star Wars Visions trailer yet.
I haven't. I'm a bad fan.
No, it's like just dropped, I think.
No, it's a couple days ago, and I was on Twitter, and I think I got sidetracked. I don't know.
Dropped 5 days ago. That's okay.
Again, bad fan. In my defense, my show opened this week, and I've been very busy.
Yes. Yeah. Tell people about your show.
Hi, I am in Citadel Theater's adaptation of Alice in Wonderland. We're at Melody Farms in Lake Forest on Waukegan Road, and the show is about 50 minutes long. It's very interactive with the audience, and I'm having fun with it. I play the dodo bird, the Cheshire Cat, and the March Hare. among other characters.
I love it.
So if you got little kids, or if you just enjoy a picnic on the prairie and a little show, come check us out. We're sold out this weekend, but we will be back next weekend.
I love it. All right, so to end our show, we'll watch this and give our quick impressions on Star Wars Visions. Do you know what Star Wars Visions is at all, or you have no idea what it is?
I know it's an animated series that is an anime style, and that's as far as I know.
And that's as far as you know. Okay, here we go. Let's give it a watch.
It's 3 minutes long. Dang, this is hefty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Star Wars Visions is going to be an anthology series coming to Disney Plus in September. Japanese animation inspired a lot of the people at Lucasfilm over the years. We loved the idea of seeing Star Wars expressed in that way.
I love seeing Jabba in anime style.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Each one of these studios that we approached, we found hardcore Star Wars fans. They all had a story they wanted to tell.
It looks so pretty.
スター・ウォーズの企画って言っても、あれなんかこのような夢のようなことができるのかなっていうちょっと思いましたね。
いやもうついに来たなと、もう待ってました。その時の提案の内容が
Samurai lightsaber battles is going to be insane.
Work!
We were looking for something from the heart and soul of the
That's
individual
gorgeous.
creators.
Woo! That's so
they
pretty.
Are their visions through the lens of Star Wars.
There are so many genres at play: big and bold, romantic and sweeping, funny, comedic.
で、この作品独自のところスタイルとしては、ロックオペ
I
ラ
like to think that that's Broom Boy.
日本の山
One,
岳文
maybe.
み
He
た
kind of
い
looks like
な
him,
こ
doesn't
と
he?
をしっかり描けたらな。
暗黒教の双子がと生まれて、これが
This is the twins of the dark side. Sounds awesome.
Sick. I'm curious as to what era this is supposed to be.
I think it's going to be all over.
Maybe.
This is called the Ninth Jedi. I'm very curious about that one.
So maybe it's quite early.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really see anything that
We
kind
tried
of
to have
lands
some
us in one place or
retro,
another.
Vintage feeling. We couldn't skip the Astro Boy influence. People love Astro Boy.
どちらかといえば自分は最初象徴的な意味。
I want to know about the furry
人間の
character.
姿をしてない主
Oh
人公
my
に
goodness.
したかった。
Like, is this a new species that we're being introduced to?
Yeah, who is that?
I don't know.
が未知の敵みたいなのに遭遇するっていうお話ですね。
And like their lightsabers look like katanas, which is so badass.
That is so. Well, and also,
We
I
feel
mean, the
so
Jedi are
fortunate to be working
a Japanese
with these
concept
filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
that George
There's
Lucas,
so many
you know.
opportunities to reflect
kinda took.
Japanese
Boba.
storytelling in
Yes, it
the
was.
Star Wars universe.
Star Wars Visions is completely different than everything else in Star Wars storytelling.
So we have at least
Audiences
one that will be
fall in
set
love with
in
it.
a time period we're familiar with.
Mhm. This is very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so they're like shorts.
They're shorts, yeah.
Oh, I don't think I
don't know how
understood
many
that.
of them there are. Yeah.
Ooh.
Which means
okay,
we
okay.
could get second and third seasons of this show.
Wow, that's really
Like,
exciting.
Potentially, right? Like we could get continued, just like people kind of playing in the sandbox of the universe, finding their own corner. You know, space is infinite. You can have the further removed it is, the more freedom you have to tell whatever kind of story you want to tell.
That looks awesome. That looks so cool.
Mhm.
Woo!
Yeah. So okay, so I'm gonna give you a single real quick. Give us your impressions.
Oh God. I like the idea of Star Wars shorts. I think there's a lot that can be played around here. And again, this galaxy is so vast, and there's a lot of time periods that we haven't really gone into, at least in the visual realm. Like there's been books and comics and stuff, but like not in like the mainstream Star Wars media. So I'm really excited to see where they go, and also to see like a different perspective. Like these are you know, Asian creators that are getting to tell stories that they want to see, and I'm curious to see like how their perspective fits into the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I love that.
Yay, we did it!
We did it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, tune in next week.
Yes.
Catch us again. And Wednesday will be our final our series finale for the Loki review. Wednesday, I think we'll also be able to finally finish our Disney song journey. Yes, are we doing Wednesday or are we doing Thursday?
I don't remember, but we'll talk about it off camera, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it'll be either Wednesday or Thursday
Yeah.
this week. Look for our showstoppers, bangers, and bops. We had to delay for a week. My internet and everything's been real choppy here when I've been on this retreat.
Chopper.
But it will be it will be worth it. I assure you. And then after that, the week after that, we'll be doing Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings, Team Maui versus Team Kat. We're not sure who we're going to be fighting for yet. We'll have to wheel coins and see who gets Star Wars and who gets Lord of the Rings.
There will be blood.
Because I don't want to assemble my team. I don't want to assemble my team until I know.
Correct.
Like,
me neither.
Which side I have.
Me neither.
So, and just so you know, like, I'm gonna bring the heat. I'm gonna bring some heat on you. So
let's get spicy.
Let's get spicy. It's gonna be exciting.
Okay.
Also, July 17th is my book launch. Be sure to look for that. everydaywithella.com. We'll be having a book launch at Fitzgerald's Nightclub in Berwyn. Very excited to bring it to everybody. And I just finished my second book, and I think it's the best thing I've ever written. So I'm really, really excited for it. So for it to get in people's hands this holiday season, so check that out.
Get it.
All right. I love you, Kat. Thanks so much for.
I love you too, Maui. Come home safe.
Yes, absolutely. Bye, everybody.